This is the Metal Queens podcast. I'm Steve Richards on this episode of the Metal Queens podcast, where we always celebrate the fierce and powerful women who are redefining heavy music across the globe. We're diving into the world of crushing riffs, melodic aggression, and unrelenting, and I mean unrelenting, stage presence with none other than Sandy Sin, the powerhouse lead vocalist of Gates of Gomorrah. The band formed back in 2012. Gates of Gomorrah has weathered lineup changes, honed their unique fusion of thrash, melodic death, and progressive metal, and are now gearing up for their long-awaited debut EP, touring and explosive new music videos, which you can check out. Sandy brings both ferocity and depth to the mic, embodying the raw spirit and unstoppable energy of modern metal. Today we'll talk about her journey, the band's evolution, what is next for Gates of Gomorrah. Sandy Sin, welcome to the Metal Queens podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's great to have you here. So take us back to how you first connected with Gates of Gomorrah and what drew you into becoming their lead vocalist.
So, Gates of Gomorrah, as you said, started back in 2012. And with the metal scene here in the UAE, it's pretty small, so everyone knows each other. So, I've known the band and I've been attending their shows way back in the days. And the band took a hiatus between, I would like to say, trying to remember the dates. I think around 2016 till 2018. So they were quiet for a while. But before that, they opened up for international bands such as Immolation and Wolfheart. So I saw them at those gigs. I always enjoyed their music. I really liked what they were doing. And there were two vocalists previously before me. And the founder and guitarist Jojo was looking for a new vocalist and other people to replace in the lineup. Because, in the UAE, it's a place where there's a lot of expats over here. So a lot of people tend to move out of the country. They don't stay put. So lineup changes are pretty normal over here. And I knew this guy through a friend, and her brother was the previous vocalist of the band, and he left the country. And so she told me, yeah, I was doing vocals before. So she was like, would you like to, get connected with Jojo and be interested in this band? I'm like, yeah, sure, because I love their music already. So we got together, and I was welcome very nicely from the band. They're very easygoing guys. They made me feel very welcome in the band. It was easy to work with them. And it was quite a smooth transition because I already knew the songs. So basically I just had to, learn their previous songs, and I had to rewrite some of the lyrics, but I was really excited to be part of the project. And, I was looking forward to it. So that's how we came together pretty much.
Yeah, you mentioned rewriting the lyrics. Let's touch on the lyrics. They carry both intensity and depth, too. Can you walk us through the writing process? Do the riffs inspire the words, or do you bring concepts to the band first?
So generally, not just with Gates of Gomorrah, when it comes to songwriting, lyric writing, I prefer to listen to the music first, the instrumental track. And what I do is I basically picture it like it's a movie, a soundtrack of a movie. So I listen to the song, I think about it, and I think, okay, what does this make me feel? What kind of story is it going to tell? And with Gates of Gomorrah specifically, it was kind of easy to write lyrics because they have a common lyrical theme, which is usually about, hell, negativity in the world, sins. So with that, with the new music that we wrote, I was able to write lyrics that were quite similar to those themes that were on theme. And with the old songs, two of the songs, we kept the song pretty much the same. I just had to work a bit on vocal patterns and how it would suit my vocals. But there were a few old songs where I had to kind of rewrite the lyrics. I kept some of the lyrics the same, but then I also made it my own and made it kind of like modernize it, upgraded it a little bit. And yeah, that's usually how I write music.
How did you develop that growl and scream of yours?
Uh yeah. So I've always been a huge fan of extreme metal.
Mm.
I started back when I was a teenager, just I was just a fan of metal. I would listen to it and pretty much like I just listened to it at home and I would just sing along with it and I enjoyed it. And I was really drawn to extreme metal vocals. And I watched in the beginning, of course, I just went for it, just raw,
Mm.
just and I made a lot of mistakes. Of course, I injured myself. And back when I started, there weren't a lot of people who were doing it, especially females.
Yeah.
And there weren't a lot of vocal coaches back in the days. Back in those days, it was like just Melissa Cross and bands such as like Kitty, Arch Enemy, and all that. So I didn't have like a lot of people that I could refer to. But over time, there were more vocal coaches online. It was more accessible. I looked up video. I'm self-taught, like 100%
Mm.
self-taught. I just learned on YouTube, and I just practice the songs at home. And usually, in the beginning, I would just practice at home, and then slowly, I got more comfortable posting my vocals online. Of course, there was a lot of trial and error. I made mistakes. It required a lot of practice, and only with Gates of Gomorrah, I started performing live, which is a whole different field when compared to recording in a studio. So before Gates of Gomorrah, I was in a band. Well, I still have this project. It's called Amen Graves, and it was I recorded an EP for that already. So I was very familiar in a studio setting, but I was not familiar with performing live. And yeah, that was a whole different challenge in itself. And yeah, that's how I got into vocals, just practicing, putting yourself out there and more practice. I'm still practicing every time. It's a learning curve. And I learn each time I perform, and I'll keep learning new things. And I'm trying to expand my vocals. I'm also trying to, I recently booked some vocal lessons for clean vocals, which is something I've never done before, but I really want to expand my range. So I just keep learning, keep practicing.
Gates of Gomorrah blends thrash, melodic death, progressive elements. How do you personally bring your own identity and voice into that mix?
So for me, it's about honoring Gates of Gomorrah's original sound, which is more like of the raw, old school death metal
Mm.
elements, while adding my own flavor and take to it. With the vocalists prior to me, they each had their own style. I tried to keep it very authentic, both vocally and with my stage presence. I try not to imitate. Of course, I'm inspired by other vocalists, but I try not to imitate the previous vocalists of our band. And vocally, I try to offer a different range than the previous vocalists. I add more of like black metal highs, which wasn't done before in the previous Gates of Gomorrah songs, while still keeping the low death metal growls, which is the kind of vocal sound that Gates of Gomorrah always had. And live, I try not to take myself too seriously. I always try to make our shows like very fun,
Mm.
yet still brutal at the same time. I feel like, with some people, they try to be a different character or, some be something that they're not or more evil or anything. But I'm just authentically myself, and that's what I bring into the band.
What's it like, and what has it been like stepping into a project with this much history? I know you were familiar with the band. Did you click pretty early on?
Yeah, we did because, like I said, we all know each other in the metal scene over here.
Yeah.
It's very small. Um, we were well, we weren't super close friends before, but I seen them around. And we had our mutual friends, and I was supporting their band, and it was just easy to get along with them. And even now, like, we get along really well, and they welcome me like with open arms in the
Mm.
band. So yeah, it was very easy. No challenges there.
The oh, hold on here.
Yeah,
Lost.
no worries.
You can still hear me, right?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. The debut EP is highly anticipated. What can fans expect in terms of themes, sound, and overall energy? And when can we expect that EP?
Yeah, so this EP has been a long time coming. Even though the band has been around since 2012, they did some rough recordings and posted it on YouTube, but they never like properly recorded, mixed and mastered it, put it on like you can't find our stuff on Spotify or any music platforms besides YouTube and live videos. So this year we are focusing on recording the songs. Right now, we have our latest song, which we recorded together as a new lineup. It's currently being mixed and mastered. So we're waiting for that. And actually, this week, I'm going to start filming a scene for the music video for our latest song. We're also going to re-record the old songs, and we are currently writing new songs. So we'll put it all together in one EP, the old and the new stuff. And with the themes, when I was talking about lyric writing, our themes for Gates of Gomorrah is usually we talk about hell, sins, negativity in the world. Sound wise, we got that old, raw, old school death metal sound with the older songs. However, with the newer songs, we sort of modernized it. We modernized the sounds, added different elements to the sound. For example, the guitars now are more melodic. We have another guitarist in the band named Lloyd. He's a big fan of power metal, so he's really into like the power metal riffs. However, there's no power metal riffs in our songs, but you can see how his influence and the melodicness will add to the songs. The bass is more prominent. We even have one song that has kind of, I would like to say, a genty sound, which wasn't in the old songs before. And then, of course, with my vocals, I added different vocal styles, like with the black metal vocals, spoken word,
Yeah.
even. Um, yeah, but we still try to keep true to the brutal sound of Gates of Gomorrah, keeping it raw, but at the same time with a modern twist and added elements to it. But yeah.
How do you balance the raw aggression of metal vocals with melodic elements? And what's been your biggest challenge vocally with this band?
Um, well, balancing those two elements was not that challenging for me. I actually think it kind of goes hand in hand, especially with my kind of vocals. The challenges did not happen while we were writing new songs because I got to create ideas from scratch. The bigger challenge was rewriting and re-performing the old songs because you have to think, how can I make my vocal style fit, what they were previously doing, but at the same time keep true to the sound. Another challenge I had to face, like what I mentioned, this is the first band I started performing with live.
Right.
And like, yeah, so that's a whole different challenge in itself. Singing in a studio is different. You can take your time, you can repeat, you can do things over again, you can spot your mistakes. But when you're live, that's it. You got one chance. You got to just do it right on the spot. You have to think about breathing, your energy levels, and balancing those two so you don't lose your voice. And that's what I learned from this band. And that was my challenge vocally while I was doing it. So it was a lot of trial and error to know what works for me vocally in a live setting. And I'm still learning till this day.
You keep very busy, Sandy. I saw you on Instagram at Vakken back in
Yes.
the summer. You're working with Sadek Music on live events, gear demos, and workshops. How important is community and mentorship in the heavy music culture to you?
Over here, community, well, in general, community is extremely important, but especially here in this region in the Middle East,
Mm.
the metal scene isn't very big. And in order for the community to grow, we need to support one another by going to the local shows, which, oh, I was doing that for a while. And that's how I discovered my band because I went to the local shows and I got to discover all these bands. And it's really important to also share the knowledge that you have to one another and also to guide and inspire younger musicians who are just starting out. And in my case, other females who also want to be in a metal band, especially in this region. Metal in general here is not big. So being a female in the metal scene over here is another challenge.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of balls or lack thereof to put yourself out there. But besides being in a band, I also work for a music events company called Sandstorm. So that's how I got the connection to go to Wacken. They saw, that I promote for a music company over here. I work in social media for their page. So I also do podcasts as well, by the way,
Yeah,
with
I saw
this
that. Yeah.
company. Yeah, we're starting to do a podcast. We're interviewing international bands so they're more aware about the metal scene here in the Middle East because not a lot of people know that we have a scene over here. So with this company, Sandstorm, we create events for local bands over here, as well as bringing international bands to the UAE. So more bands outside will know and get to see how the scene is like here, and then they'll tell other people overseas how it's like over here. And doing the podcast and everything will also raise awareness about the metal scene in the Middle East. And we also have a newsletter which highlights bands in the Middle East and Asia, so people online can get to know about bands in that region. And this is also why I'm part of it, because I really want this community to grow. I want more international bands to come here. I want to see other, people, especially women like me, put themselves out there, especially in a region such as the Middle East, which is a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
And without community in general, there's no way our music can be heard. So it is extremely important. I am heavily involved in the community over here. So it's super important for me.
That's great,
Yeah.
Sandy. You're doing great
Yeah.
stuff there.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Gates of Gomorrah live. Any touring plans, and what do you hope people walk away with after experiencing Gates of Gomorrah live for the first time?
So currently we're doing shows locally. We were fortunate enough in the past to open for big international bands such as Nervosa, Mayhem, Ectomorph, a bunch of other bands. And then our next show, actually we just had a show on Friday. It was a headlining show. It's local bands over here, but it was our first headlining show. It was a lot of fun. And our next show is going to be on November 19th. We're going to be opening for a band. Well, it's a French band called Benighted. Maybe you guys have heard of them. They're going to be playing here in Dubai, which we're really excited about. This will be their second time here in Dubai. But apart from that, we are focusing, just releasing our debut AP and working on our music video. But eventually, we would really like to go on international tours. But we're just trying to release more content online so internationally people can see us and all that. So that is the plan, to perform outside of Dubai, and we're working our way towards that.
Working your way, hopefully, towards Wacken one of these years too.
Yes, that was also really great because when we went to Wacken, they knew me from working. Well, they've seen me perform. They know I'm in a band, and after going to Wacken, Wacken actually followed not only our music company page but Gates of Gomorrah as well. So hopefully, they will consider us. They also have Battle of the Bands Middle East, So hopefully in the next one, we're gonna try to be part of that.
Yeah, that'd be
So it
awesome.
might happen. Let's see. You never know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you see Gates of Gomorrah in the next few years? Playing a big festival or like that?
Yes, we would love to play big festivals and also open up for more international bands. And you know, the thing is over here, I mentioned that in the UAE, people come and go. And this is not me being pessimistic. This is me being realistic. A lot of people move, and that's what happened to our previous bandmates. People move out. So I'm being very optimistic about the future. I'm just really hoping that we can find stability, stick together as a band, and be able to tour internationally. Actually, one of our bass player, he's from Turkey, and he has a lot of connections in Turkey, festivals in Turkey. So I think the first step internationally, I think we're going to try to play at some festivals in Turkey and also like do the Vakken metal battle of the bands, and that could be the pathway to playing internationally. So that's where I hope to see us, and of course, making new albums, new music, more music videos.
So a lot more to come from Sandy and Gates of
I'll
Gomorrah. All right, we're
Yes,
gonna wrap up.
definitely.
We're gonna wrap up here with the lightning round, Sandy.
Yeah.
All
All
right, so
right.
answer with the first thing that comes to mind: thrash or progressive? Which gets your blood pumping faster?
Thrash, definitely. Fast riffs, aggression makes the blood pump faster.
First metal show you ever went to? Who was it and where?
Okay, so I have to really think about this one because the first gig I went to was a rock band. It was don't laugh, it was Hoobastank.
All right.
But yeah, but the first metal gigs were local metal gigs. But the first international one I went to was a festival called, this was back in 2005. They used to have a huge metal festival here called Dubai Desert Rock.
Mm,
And some of the bands that were playing at that time were Iron Maiden, In Flames, Machine Head, and Testament. So those are the few first international metal bands I've seen.
nice. One
Yeah.
vocalist that you would love to trade screams with on stage. Who would that be?
Okay. There's not one specific person. I'm just gonna say I would like to trade vocal. Oh, you said screams, but I would rather swap with any power metal vocalists because those are the kind of vocals I can't do. With other people who scream, I try to learn it, but I guess if I have to pick someone who can scream, like any deathcore vocalist, I haven't nailed the pig squeals quite yet, and I would like to be able to do that. But power metal would be more interesting because that is something totally opposite, and I just really admire like the vocal techniques from power metal vocalists.
What is your go-to pre-show ritual? Tea, meditation, or pure chaos?
Usually it's pure chaos, but I do drink tea before I take care of my voice. And lately, I didn't do this before, but in my pre-show ritual, I'm starting to do yoga before I perform because that really helps with my back and my neck and everything. And it just makes me more ready and loose for my shows because I like to move around a lot.
Yeah,
And
I
sometimes I
noticed that.
underestimate how much I can do. And I need to be careful with that because I have had a bad back a couple of times. So yeah, adding yoga into my pre-show ritual really helped a lot.
Yeah. If Gates of Gomorrah were a mythological creature, what do you think it would be?
A mythological creature. Okay. I'm trying to think. Now all the mythological creatures from hell are slipping from my mind. Um, I would like I don't know if you would consider this mythological, but Hades.
Yeah,
Hades
yeah,
because we represent hell.
yes,
So I think
good
Hades
one.
would fit. That would be a great mascot for Gates of Gomorrah.
Would be great on
Yep.
t-shirts. Yes,
Yes.
definitely. She's Sandy Sin, Gates of Gomorrah. Follow them on social, stream their videos. that performance you were just talking about from this past Friday. We're recording this on September 15th. It was September 12th there in Dubai. You can check that performance out as
Yes.
well. What a force you are. Thank you for joining me today
Thank
here on the Metal Queens podcast. Your journey, your fire, and your vision for the future of heavy music, too. A lot more to come from this band
Yes.
over the next 6 months to a year. The debut EP is up first on the horizon. You don't want to miss it. And again, check out all of their music videos. And Sandy Sin, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And this is the Metal Queens podcast. Like it, share it, subscribe to it, write a review. Thanks for watching. I'm Steve Richards.